Hey guys, how's it going? It's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. Obviously, this is part 3 of my ideas, dreams, goals, and that sort of thing for Celtic. I hope you check out parts 1 and 2 if you haven't already done so. Please check them out, and appreciate you viewing this video and supporting it as much as possible. As I say, this is continuing on from part 1 and 2. So I hope you check them out if you haven't already done so. As I say, and I hope you're doing well wherever you are, and please share this with any Celtic fans, and hope someone out there will enjoy some of my quirky ideas. Can't think of too much to say in the intro. Here goes. So number 21, I would love to see, once again, recapping some ideas. I'd love for Celtic to have supporters as many supporters as possible in all possible places and areas and countries and cities and whatnot, basically everywhere possible, as many as possible, possibly billions of supporters around the world, and like sports clubs. Obviously there won't be billions of those, but so billions of supporters in different supporters clubs around the world, like all over the world, and across Africa, Australasia, the Americas, Asia, Latin America, Ireland, and even in indigenous communities of the Americas and Australasia, getting into football, soccer, as they might call it. Having as many sports clubs as possible, and looking at what people learning about the history of Celtic as well, and that sort of thing. Number 22, I would love to see Celtic look at what they can do to continue to improve. For instance, getting a director of football, looking at the scouting and how we can continue to buy, buy better players, to even better players, and continue to import players, many different players in each position. Sorry, got a runny nose again. And look at what a modern football team has, and how Celtic can develop those sorts of things, like say, a director of football, looking at scouting, developing academies, or look at new ideas and sharing ideas in like committees and or think tanks, committees/think tanks, which can look at how to continue to improve and develop the game, develop Celtic as much as possible. Again, developing young players, and having a mixture of buying young players and developing young players and buying other players as well, and possibly more players from Africa and Asia and places like that as well, unknown players, as they seem to a lot of time really do well and work hard, and like maybe more players from other parts of the world, like Latin America and things like that. But again, looking at what a modern football club has basically, and how we can develop those sorts of things like sports clubs around the world, as I say, especially in Asia, which is a huge market, and again, football academies, soccer academies, and that sort of thing. Number 23, I would love to fundraise as much as possible, as well as encourage other people to fundraise. I have some quirky ideas, I know, but maybe some of these ideas are a bit naive, but like making videos like this and like helping Celtic to like trend or go viral or things like that as much as possible, hopefully. And I think the more times that we check Celtic's social media or general, or the website or things like that, the more time we can check those sort of things, hopefully the more will help Celtic to trend, as I say, and that sort of thing. Excuse me. Just looking at different ways to fundraise for the club, and I even think like, I thought if Celtic, maybe these ideas are naive, but I'd love to hear what people think about these ideas. Like if Celtic have like a special account which they put money into, which will be reinvested back into the club. So it's whatever money's in that account will be reinvested back into the club. And as I said before, I'd love to see Celtic getting as much tax exemptions and state funding and lottery funding to support Glasgow, which is a deprived area, which is where Celtic is located, for those who don't know. Just getting as much funding as possible, and that sort of thing, and investing 10% of that into like youth development, 10% into buying new players, and 10% into whatever other costs there might be involved in running of a modern football club, whatever costs, whether they be administrative or whatever other such costs involved in running a football club, as well as possible. And also, as I say, in terms of wages and all sorts of things like that as well. And another 10% could go to charity, and then the rest could be for shareholders or investors. And on that note, I'd love Celtic also, on the note of fundraising, I'd love Celtic to do a lot more again, which it used to do, or redo a lot of the work that we used to do in parts of Africa and Asia, again, maybe even Native American and Indigenous Australasian communities, in terms of supporting those in the poorest people in those communities, which is one of the reasons why I support Celtic. 24. Again, in the future, I'd love to talk about why I support Celtic. I suppose it's because I've got Irish roots and because I'm an anti-imperialist, and I think Rangers are quite an imperialistic team. They like sport, monarchy, and the military, so they're not sort of things that I support that much. So, as an anti-imperialist who doesn't believe in invading other countries, excuse me, I suppose that's part of the reason why, or that's the main reason why I support Celtic, I say, as an anti-imperialist with Irish roots and things like that, and also the charity work they do. So I think it'd be great to be a united fan base and have as many fans around the world, and again academies as possible. And as I mentioned before, like have support from Plaid Cymru, Sinn Féin, and the SNP and parties like that, and again local Scottish parties, Glaswegian parties, and like looking at the work they could do to help to ensure children, young people, teenagers, and disadvantaged groups stay out of crime and have something to do, so they have opportunities to get into football and improve their diet and that sort of thing. Number 25, I'd love for people from republics to support Celtic as much as possible. Again, because at Celtic, generally the fans support like republics and that sort of thing, I suppose. Number 26, again, I'd love to see anti-imperialists generally around the world and people of colour, disadvantaged groups and all that supporting Celtic, and Celtic working with charities and NGOs and anti-imperialist groups and groups with similar political beliefs as well, and like people from Celtic nations like Ireland and Scotland, Wales and places like that, and the 8 Celtic countries or nations or whatever, possibly supporting Celtic as much as possible. United support them, and selling merchandise and things like that to benefit Celtic, and like investing in the club. And I forgot to mention part 23 that I think it'd be great if they were like GoFundMe pages and crowdfunding, and even like maybe even some people could donate 10% of the wages or salary or whatever if they're in that position, or whatever they feel comfortable donating. It might be 1%, it might be 3%, or in some cases it might be more than 10%, or sometimes it might be 10% of their salary or wages or whatever towards the club, and saying as long as that is reinvested into buying players, supporting the academy and things like that, and the charity work the club does perhaps as well. But again, maybe that's a naive idea. Again, I'd love to hear what people think about that, and just with like the bank account idea, and what you think the club should reinvest in, like from the revenue, how much you think should be reinvested into each sort of area, like youth development or buying new players or whatever other costs there are, and maybe people could share information about what sort of costs an average football team in the modern age would have to spend on, or what a club would have money on. It would be interesting, like to hear what different opinions are as well. Number 27, I think it'd be great to list some of the heroes who have supported Celtic, and again, like people making YouTube videos like this, possibly more clear and concise than myself, and like donating percentage of the profits of those YouTube videos, like maybe again 10% or whatever they feel comfortable donating, or if they have a job and they have enough money from other sources, they might even donate all the profits from those YouTube videos or YouTube channels to Celtic. Again, I think it's important that the club spends that money though wisely and ensures that it reinvests. And I think from the revenue, maybe 60 or percent could go back to like the shareholders or things like that, but the rest could be invested in, as I say, salaries, buying better players, developing the squad, spending on the academy and things like that. But yeah, so I think it'd be great, as I say, for Celtic to also salute the heroes who have contributed to Celtic and have like a list of the top X number of maybe even top 100 heroes of Celtic, and then they could be different lists that narrowed down, so it'd be quite honourable to get into the top 10 of that list or whatnot. Number 28. I think from last season where we had a really terrible season, this season so far has been quite good. So I hope it will continue on that trajectory. And again, hope we have many different players in each position. So if they get injured or complacent or become lazy, they'll know that their place is up at stake, or that they have someone to cover for them, or someone who helps them out. They have a good squad, not just one or two good players, but a whole good squad, as many the best possible players in each position. Obviously, hopefully the club will invest heavily as much as possible, and maybe even the sponsors investing in ways. Again, maybe it's a naive idea, but maybe they could be crowdfunding or GoFundMe generally. I got slagged for sharing that idea on Facebook, but I thought I'd share it anyway, just in case those people who slagged off that idea might be wrong and I might be right, and then you never know, strange things have happened perhaps. But yeah, so like look at as I say, buying the best possible goalkeeper, the best possible even like 2 or 3 good goalkeepers, so if one gets injured or something goes wrong, we still have cover. And again, the good competition for each place as well, and like as I say, if players get injured, enough players to cover those positions. Number 29, I would love to encourage my fellow people of colour, as I say, and especially mixed race people in particular Anglo Indians, to support Celtic, and also to improve relations between Italian football and Celtic as much as possible, as well as other Mediterranean countries, and as I mentioned before, like people from Eurasian or general transcontinental and Middle Eastern and Mediterranean nations, and again all around the world, like Asia and Africa and places like that. Possibly, especially all countries that have been colonised by the UK, because again, Rangers, like they support the monarchy and the military, and like they sing Rule Britannia and things like that. So I think it'd be great if all the countries that were colonised by the UK would support Celtic, even though it's based in Scotland. And number 30, again, apologies if some ideas are perhaps a bit out there or a bit naive, and I perhaps didn't explain them clearly enough or whatever. And as ever, I would love to hear your ideas, and I am out. Peace out.